Springfield's Talk 104.1 and a good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the show, streaming live, KSGF.com on YouTube. That is sponsored by Springfield Wraps, who designed the KSGF studio. I think that observant Americans at this point should have recognized that the media will not stop. I think that decent people for a period of time felt as if at some point there would be some self-reflection in the media, that they would recognize what role their rhetoric and their disinformation campaigns play in all of this. Perhaps not acknowledge it through words, but maybe just, dial it back a little bit. But I think that we've gotten to the point we realize that that is not going to happen. I mean, this is the media as a country we're stuck with as long as we keep being consumers of it. They are not, and you could, they would deny this. They're not unhappy. Here's the thing. We hear them spread disinformation, and as dark and macabre and twisted as it is, comparing Trump to Hitler and his followers as Nazis. And I think that what we've got to reckon with is the fact that many of them, they really genuinely believe it, and they really genuinely think he needs to be dead. Reasonable people, when there is a would-be assassin, whether it was a Bernie Sanders supporter at that softball practice or a left-wing activist that is trying to take out conservative judges on the Supreme Court, or a would-be assassin of Donald Trump that uses the verbiage, Trump a danger to democracy. We see this, the mimicking of the disinformation that the media is spreading. And it's clear and obvious what's going on here. I think it's just very difficult for Americans to be like, why do you keep doing this? Why? And it is because they are to some degree getting the outcome that they want. They absolve themselves of their responsibility by blaming the victim. The messaging that was coming from much of the media yesterday was, if you point out all of the times that Democrats or the media have referred to Trump as Hitler or said Trump and his supporters need to be exterminated, we must stop Trump at all cost. If you point that out, the new messaging that is coming from some media outlets is that in and of itself is a danger. They're doubling down. Full and complete compliance among the American population. Do not ask questions. Do not question the elite authority. Slowly but surely, Americans are waking up that we are living under this authoritarian regime, and the media is instrumental in that. You think about everything that they have done since Trump got elected president, and that is try and craft an environment in which you are not supposed to talk about anything that makes Trump look good, makes the Democrats or the media look bad. If you do, you are a danger. You are a potential domestic terrorist. And every time there is a citizen who responds to their warnings, if you will, about those of us who don't bend a knee being dangers to democracy, Donald Trump a danger to democracy, whenever there is a response to that, they don't, again, scale it back. They double down. Because they recognize that there are a lot of Americans that see the results of their work and say, well, wait a minute here. I don't know that I'm comfortable with this. And they have to very quickly strike in order to make sure that you're in compliance, that you don't question them, that you don't question the good versus evil, that you don't question the Trump had it coming messaging. And make no mistake about it. Now, they'll deny that that's what they're saying, but every time a story talks about Trump's rhetoric and Trump's refusal to dial down the rhetoric, that is saying he had it coming. He deserved it, and he continues to deserve it. When your messaging is, well, it's kind of his fault because he says things that we don't like. Oh, and by the way, he continues to say these things. You're sending a very strong message that what he has received in the past in terms of 2 assassination attempts, he refuses to listen. So I guess we need another one. And then another one and another one until the job is done and democracy is saved. You have the dehumanizing of Trump, and everything that it is they're doing to Trump, of course, they claim Trump does, and that's what makes him a danger. You may recall a few months ago, I don't even know who it was he was talking about, but he talked about vermin. Well, that was proof he was Hitler. Because that's what Hitler did, dehumanize. While the left openly criticizes any media outlet that and it's their verbiage, humanizes Trump. You shouldn't humanize him. The downplaying of this assassination attempt. And the outright lying. MSNBC, Joy Reid reporting that both of the would-be assassins were Trump supporters. Kid you not. This is what she, on her program, MSNBC, declared last night. Oh, by the way, it turns out that those bomb threats the media kept tying to J.D. Vance because of his rhetoric, because he and the Trump campaign have been acting as a megaphone for the citizens of Springfield, Ohio. Turns out that they all came from overseas. It was another one of those instances in which you had players overseas, which, according to the governor, could very well have been, and in all likelihood is, an attempt to interfere in the election, which the media is more than happy to step up and help them do that. Had nothing whatsoever to do with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and their rhetoric. It was not in response. So another disinformation campaign that the media has been spreading out there that turns out to be completely 100% untrue. We have got to stop collectively. I don't like describing the media as a danger to our country because that gives them power. The only power they have is what the consumer gives them. And with America, we just have to stop turning on their networks. And I know many of you don't. But there's still a significant portion of the population that turn on that local news in the evening because they believe that they're getting truthful information. And we live in a country in which the media is allowed to lie. Now, of course, you can, if it is a deliberate lie, if it's a scenario currently, there's that civil suit that Trump has against ABC because George Stephanopoulos on numerous occasions falsely reported that Trump was convicted of rape. If you have as an individual some sort of claim because of a complete disinformation. You can go to court civilly. There are remedies for that. But criminally speaking, media, they're allowed to be as biased and dishonest as they want. The answer isn't to have some sort of information ministry like the Democrats have, because then whoever is in charge, they are the ones who get to decide. I mean, you look at the media, the laughability of the fact that the media, which is more responsible, in my assessment, of spreading disinformation than any other institution other than currently the White House, but they're one and the same. Yet they declare themselves the great arbiters of truth, which often is the case. The most dishonest people are often the ones that talk so often about how honest they are and point out that other people are constantly lying. So it's not uncommon to have that contradiction. So we cannot do what the left wants to do and demand that an elite few get to decide what information does and doesn't get on air. We just have to ourselves stop consuming the trash. We have to encourage others, if we have the opportunity, not to listen to the divisive disinformation. Because ultimately, the only power that the media has is the power that collectively we allow them to have. Pyramid Roofing Company, talk at text line 447 KSGF. Latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see patchy fog in the morning that should clear up around 9 a.m. and then mostly sunny skies with a high near 86. Tonight mostly clear with a low around 63. For your Wednesday, sunny with a high near 87, and on Thursday, sunny with a high near 91.
Pyramid Roofing Company talk at text line 447 KSGF. Am I wrong to think corporate America and media and our government are basically one big family united against us, the citizen? It feels like that's what it is, and it is. The media used to be a watchful eye on behalf of the citizens. What has been going on in Springfield, Ohio is a perfect example of how the media has flipped and now acts as a propaganda machine for the elite establishment. You have the people of Springfield, Ohio, that have been screaming from the rooftops about the problems that shipping in up to 30,000 people from a foreign country has done to their small town. Now, it doesn't take any sort of expert in anything to realize that that is going to be something that causes problems. And the people of Springfield have felt that their city manager and that some of the people in elected office have been not doing anything about it. This is the problem that they've been having. This is why they've gone viral, showing up at city council meetings, saying to the city leadership, what do you want from us? You people are supposed to be helping us. You are supposed to be our representation. Their frustration is stemmed out of the fact that the local government has been doing nothing about it that is helpful to the citizens. And so these videos of the city council meetings and the citizens that have been showing up in order to express, and the interesting thing is the majority of, I shouldn't say the majority, but a significant portion of their complaint isn't about the Haitians, it's about their local government's lack of response to the problems they're having because of the importation of all of these people. That's where their real anger lies. And so the Trump campaign did what the Trump campaign oftentimes does when they recognize that there is this organic issue that has people very upset. They glean on to that and make it part of their campaign. It's the same thing that was done with the border when he ran in 2015. Now, once upon a time, a media would have gone to talk to all of the citizens and to default to their version of things. But we all heard, and I think that this is a very instructive moment, during that debate, when Trump was explaining what the people and the citizens of Springfield, Ohio have been complaining about, his answer was, well, we called the government and they said it wasn't true. Their default was to go to the government. And because the city manager, whom is a part of the problem, again, this is why so many of the citizens are so frustrated in Springfield, Ohio. When they talk to a person who's part of the problem, they clean their hands of it. No, we checked. Citizens are wrong, government's right. Citizens are wrong, government's right. This was very profound during COVID, and it's something that vexes local media as well. Whatever the government says, that is their job when it comes to anything that involves coverage that is somehow connected to government, is to get the government's version of things, as long as it's their people, of course. Trump was an anomaly where, and this is part of the reason that they've gone so apoplectic, because, he's not one of them. He's not one of the government, official government people. They see him as one of us, except for with more money. But it's always go to the government, what does the government say? And then that's the official answer. And if there are citizens who say anything contradictory, well, they're spreading disinformation. And so the text that came in, recognizing that there's just this cabal, this partnership between media and government, and it views the citizen with suspicion. That's very accurate. That is where we are, and that is much different than it was once upon a time, where the media was supposed to be on the side of the citizen and view the government with a watchful eye and make sure that the citizen was aware of what was going on with the government, not telling the citizen how to behave because this is what the government says, so that's true. I just don't, that probably, in terms of the media and the problem that we have with the media in this country today, was the most overlooked and underappreciated aspect of that debate. When David Muir said, "Oh, well, we talked to the city manager and he said it wasn't true." Oh, okay. Yeah, of course he did. That's part of the problem. What about the citizens that are showing up? That are, you have internet reporters, I put in quotes, these individuals that don't even work for a network that are there going door to door talking to citizens about what's going on. That's what journalists used to do. And it isn't to say that they won't sprinkle in some citizen's perspective, but they always default back to presenting the elite government's version of things as the truth. And this is, again, a huge part of the problem that we have in this country today. Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. Bradford Light Pineapple Life Coach 2 brews that you can currently get at Hammons Field as Springfield Cardinals are, going to be wrapping things up pretty soon. It's Kansas Territory Brewing Company. Now, you may think, oh, that's the only place. Well, don't think I'll be at any upcoming games. Well, you'll soon see it on the shelves in Springfield. Billboards, I know they have a handful up as they introduce themselves out of Washington, Kansas, and you can learn more about them on their website, Kansas Territory Brewing Co.com, brought to you by Show Me Beverage. We got another traffic update that we're going to jump over to, but it is amazing to me how on the surface the indifference is by the media that Trump now has almost lost his life twice, other than in the context that it may somehow help him. You think about that for a moment. That's the one thing that worries them. Not that potentially we could allow our next election to be chosen by some assassin. I don't even know what that would look like at this point. How I'm sure there is some remedy for that. I imagine J.D. Vance would be the one that would take on the role as the presidential candidate. How exactly that all plays out, I don't know. But the fact that we could very easily have this election disrupted by some lunatic who believes democracy is at stake and he has to save us by, quote, taking out Trump, verbiage that he hears over and over and over again. That's not what bothers the media. It's that Trump may benefit from that. That people might feel sympathetic to Donald Trump, that people might reject the ideology of people who continue to demonize and dehumanize Donald Trump to the point that there is almost an indifference with a segment of the population that Donald Trump in our elections could be chosen by some lunatic. And their headlines, many of them, reference, Republicans are outraged. Republicans are seething. And I think that they are so comfortable with being either anywhere from indifferent to hopeful that Trump gets assassinated, it doesn't even cross their mind that they are in the headlines acknowledging that they don't care, that it's the Republicans who are upset by this. Not all of us as Americans, not people who have concerns about the ability to campaign in this country without being assassinated. No. Just Republicans? A traffic update, I'm Nick Reed. Did you do weather? You gonna do weather?
Oh, yeah, I can do some weather here. Sorry, I got sidetracked on
You're a busy lady over
another
there.
business venture over here. The first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see patchy fog in the morning, but that should clear up around 9 a.m. or so, and then we'll see mostly sunny skies with a high near 86. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 63. For your Wednesday, sunny with a high near 87, and on Thursday, sunny with a high near 91.
Couple of the headlines that I was mentioning. You've got The Hill, GOP seethes after second apparent assassination attempt on Trump. You have Politico on Sunday night publishing a piece, quote, Republicans outraged over possible assassination attempt. What does it say about these media outlets that they are acknowledging, and I don't even think it's deliberate, that they're not upset about the attempt to kill Trump? They're not upset. They're not seething. They're not outraged. They're not bothered by this. After that last debate, I noted that they never even brought up the assassination attempt of Trump. Something that's relevant. As we know, the media loves to focus on rhetoric and the impact it has. Trump is commonly referred to as Hitler. Americans are told that he must be exterminated, that the movement must be exterminated, the MAGA movement. He must be stopped at all cost, and then somebody tried to. Well, they ask about January 6th. But no mention of it, and given that the Secret Service is housed within the executive branch, the branch that one of those two candidates is part of, Kamala Harris. And I noted the reason that they didn't ask that question is because I don't think it was any attempt to prevent Trump from getting any sort of sympathy during the debate because of it, but because I don't think it ever even crossed their mind, because it's no big deal to them. No big deal to them. And now that they're writing headlines, and they are in the headlines noting that it's the GOP that's upset, not the Democrats, no, it's just the Republican Party is upset. I don't think that is an overt attempt to try and send any particular message. I think that's just their natural state of things. They don't care. In terms of him being a human being and the implications it would have, if anything. I mean, I'm sure if they had their perfect pick, Kamala would just win an election in a landslide. But barring that, I mean, can we be honest? Do we really think that they would be bothered by Trump being assassinated? Reasonable people, we know. And they demonstrate it in the writing of stories, in the writing of headlines. Scott Jennings was on CNN, and one of the other ways that the media tries to downplay this is the both sides. Well, both sides. I love it. There's a list a mile long. In fact, we're going to go through, is it the, one of the outlets listed, I think it was 50 instances. Here it is, Daily Wire. It's like 50 or 60 instances of Kamala and Biden and the media and other Democrat members of Congress calling Trump Hitler or a threat to democracy. And I've heard the media, well, it's on both sides. Trump called Kamala Harris stupid. Oh, yeah, that's the same thing. That's exactly the same thing. So they try to make it seem as if, Republicans do it too. Scott Jennings swatted that down on CNN.
But the rhetoric is on both sides. It's coming from the right. It's coming from the left.
The rhetoric. They have tried to kill this man twice. Okay, he got shot in the ear, and this guy was sitting up shop outside of a golf course to try to kill him this weekend. And I know after something like this happens, it's very fashionable to talk about rhetoric on both sides. Donald Trump is the target. Okay, he's the current target, and it's happening, and it's happened again. And honestly, we have to have a conversation about elections. If you lose an election, the country's not going to come to an end. Okay, what I want Democrats to do, honestly, is to say, it's okay. Like, if Donald Trump wins, democracy will not end. The Constitution will not end. We're not going to live in a dictatorship. There will not be a bloodbath. All the things they say that are totally fabricated, to me, it would be a good day to stop doing that.
Now, this is the ultimate. Shouldn't say ultimate, but this is a key to this. Because this is what has so many people on the left, particularly those who already suffer from some form of delusions, in this panic, believing that Trump has to be stopped at all cost. It is because of that rhetoric. I mean, you, on a daily basis for years, tell people that this man is going to be the end of the world, the end of democracy, the end of your freedoms. You have on MSNBC people like Rachel Maddow telling her followers that he's going to put her in prison if he gets elected president. One of the members of The View referred to this individual as having mental health issues. How? I think that's, though we haven't seen any sort of actual examination, it's a safe bet that that could be the case. And if it is, what do you think happens when you tell someone with a mental illness that if this guy isn't stopped from being president of the United States, life as we know it is going to come to an end? What do you think happens when you tell people with mental illness that sort of messaging? I think that what occurs oftentimes with the media is they want to blame it on other aspects that could very well come into play, but for them that's a way of dismissing the political component to it. So guns are the problem, mental illness is the problem. But if they want to go down this mental illness path, they're even more responsible for crafting an environment in which somebody wants to kill you. You're going to tell somebody, and we have them out in the world, we know this, that all of these people with mental illness, and that's the messaging you're giving them? When you recognize that there are people out there with mental illness and you continue to drumbeat that, what do you think is going to happen? Well, it's mental illness. Yeah. And listen to what you've been telling mentally ill people. On Monday's broadcast of Readout, Joy Reid said all of this as Trump faces his second brush with death via a gunman shooting at him in Palm Beach, Florida, just as happened in Pennsylvania, neither of whom were Haitian, whatever the heck that has to do with anything, or any kind of immigrant, both of whom, now this is on MSNBC, talking about the two gunmen, both of whom are white, American, Trump-supporting men with guns. She knows this isn't true. You can only pretend that you are ignorant for so long. She knows this is, I mean, for Pete's sakes. Now, they've done everything they can to hide the motive of the first shooter, which for a lot of people, rightfully so, stirs up a great deal of suspicion. The second individual, we know where he stands. His son said Trump, he hated Trump like any reasonable person. His truck had a Harris Waltz or a Biden-Harris sticker, one of the two, on his truck. He donated to Democrats like 19 times money. And in North Carolina or South Carolina, whichever one that he was living in most recently before he moved to Hawaii, he voted in the Democrat primary. For MSNBC to have one of the faces of the network tell their true blue believers that these were Donald Trump supporters, like, you don't even have to understand the background of these people to go, well, wait a minute, that kind of doesn't make sense. So they loved him so much they had to kill him? When it gets this brazen, this insane, this level of dishonesty, and you still have people like, are there none of these guests? Like Claire McCaskill, she's, I guess, a paycheck. She'll say, go on any network for a paycheck. She's on there as a contributor. Is there no one with enough dignity to say, you know what, this isn't a network I think I want to be on any longer? It's just gotten way too out of control. It's one thing to be biased and to lie by omission, but when you start spreading this sort of BS around, clearly intended to mislead people, there's not a single person who's a contributor on that network that's like, you know what, this is just wrong. My credibility is at stake here. I'm really not comfortable being on a network that clearly does not care about the truth. I suppose it's the perfect place for Claire McCaskill. Dana Bash, CNN. The second would-be gunman's anti-Trump posts have nothing to do with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Well, of course not. Of course not. Because it's Donald Trump's fault, see. Don Lemon, former CNN host, said that, and this is part of the new messaging, that Donald Trump, if he would just stop threatening democracy, then we wouldn't say he's a threat to democracy. If he would just quit being Hitler, we would tell people that he's not Hitler. It's his fault, see. We're only telling the truth. If Trump would stop deserving to be assassinated, we'd stop saying things that make people want to assassinate him. It's his fault. I mean, it's all up to him. The ball's in his court. He just has to stop campaigning. He has to stop campaigning on the economy. He has to stop campaigning on illegal immigration. He has to stop campaigning on everything else that he's campaigning on. In fact, if you would just concede the election right now and admit that Kamala Harris is clearly the better person, then we would stop telling the truth about him, and then people would not want to kill him. It's that simple. That's the simple formula, see? Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text line 447 KSGF. I'm Nick Reed. Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text line. Any truth to the rumor that both would-be assassins have appeared in Black Rock promotional videos? I don't know. I do know that there are a photo circulating that has, I think it was somebody from the Biden-Harris administration, the chef perhaps. That's what the claim is, pictured with this guy. People asking, well, why is he with him? And that's a legitimate question. Now, there might be some simple explanation. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's some sort of connection to the assassination plot. Now, when it's somebody that's a famous politician, it's much more likely that there will be a picture taken with someone nefarious that they don't really have any connection to, because, if you're a citizen or you're a donor, you're a supporter, you want to take a picture with Biden, you want to take a picture with Trump, it doesn't mean that they know you. But if you are a no-name person in terms of public notoriety, like a chef in a White House, taking a picture with another no-name person of any sort of notoriety until, of course, he tries to assassinate Trump, then you do wonder, okay, well, what's the connection between these two guys? Clearly, it's not just because, one, I know about you and I support you. And those are questions that I think it is not unnatural in order to inquire. Kamala Harris's senior advisor, David Plouffe, once called for the extermination of former President Donald Trump and his kind, according to a 2016 post on X. The Trump campaign highlighted the post in the wake of the second assassination attempt. The Trump campaign noted this guy is now a top official on Kamala Harris's campaign. And all day long, you can ask, where's the media? And, of course, we can all understand what would happen if Trump's top campaign person called for the extermination of Kamala Harris, and twice there was an assassination attempt against her. They still demand to know why it was he showed up at a lunch years ago with a guy who was part of Proud Boys. That deserves explanation by why Kamala Harris would pick someone calling for the extermination of Trump and his kind. He posted, quote, "It is not enough to simply beat Trump. He must be destroyed thoroughly. His kind must not rise again." What the hell is that supposed to mean? It's not enough to simply beat Trump? So you can't say, well, he was talking about the ballot box. No. The first part of his tweet here, his statement was, that's not enough. Beating him in elections is not enough. He must be exterminated, destroyed thoroughly. His kind must not rise again. Well, but Trump said Kamala was stupid, so that's the exact same thing. Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty, all of your home buying needs, your home selling needs. I saw somebody had posted on social media that they had been told by someone that they were going to buy a house, but the person they were working with said, oh, wait until after the election and interest rates are going to go down and then it'll be a better deal. Now, from what I've learned, that also means that if that is the case, a lot of people are going to be trying to buy homes, which jacks up the prices of the homes. And so you could end up, ironically, paying more by trying to save less. But I'm not an expert in that area. Point being is that if you have any questions regarding any of that, when it comes to selling or buying and the timing of it, Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. You can find her at ksgf.com under Nick's endorsements. News in 60 seconds. Ooh, Kamala Harris to field reporter questions at some event. The NABJ, what is that? National Association of Broadcast Journalism? I don't know what it is. The NABJ. She's going to field questions. Oh, my. Oh, my. Oh, my. I wonder
The
if...
National Association of Black Journalists.
Oh, okay. Well, I was close,
Yeah.
except for it's racist instead of what I said, where it didn't matter what your skin color was. So that's pretty close. I wonder if she'll be asked about the time she said, quote, Trump is a threat to our democracy and fundamental freedoms. Or you think that they won't ask her that question? Or, quote, it's on us to recognize the threat Trump poses? Or the time, let's just go through a few of these. Because we're told that the rhetoric is even on both sides, and the proof is the fact that Donald Trump said Kamala was stupid. Which, by the way, I happen to think is an accurate assessment. So Kamala, it's on to us to recognize the threat Trump poses. Oh, and if you missed the last hour, the person that she chose to be her top campaign official had posted, quote, it's not enough to simply beat Trump. He must be destroyed thoroughly. His kind must not rise again. Joe Biden, quote, it's time to put Trump in a bullseye, end quote. Joe Biden, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Trump is a threat to this nation. Joe Biden, there is one existential threat. It's Donald Trump. Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's literally a threat to everything America stands for. Biden again, Trump and MAGA Republicans are a threat to the very soul of this country. On another occasion, Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundation of our republic, and that is a threat to this country. Tim Walz, quote, are Republicans a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Yet it's amazing how often it's the other way around. For all of the talk about how Republicans are going to put lives in danger, I said Trump and Republicans and conservative judges on the Supreme Court that are always getting targeted. Nancy Pelosi, Trump is a threat to our democracy and the kind that we have not seen. Representative Jasmine Crockett, MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically. Representative Dan Goldman, he is destructive to our democracy and he has to be eliminated. Now again, if you're some unhinged, emotionally deranged person, and you hear these comments, the fact that we have over 300 million people in this country, and so far only 2, after hearing these messages over and over again, only 2 have actually acted on it, is pretty remarkable. Tom Harris surrogate Liz Cheney, Trump presents a fundamental threat to the republic, and we are seeing it on a daily basis. Representative Steve Cohen, Trump is an enemy of the United States. Maxine Waters, are Trump supporters preparing a civil war against us, she asked. Waters, on another occasion, I want to know what all of those right-wing organizations that Trump is connected with who are training up in the hills somewhere. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Trump is an existential threat to our democracy. Adam Schiff, Trump is the gravest threat to our democracy. Representative Gregory Meeks, Trump cannot be president again. He is an existential threat to democracy. Representative Dan Goldman, Trump remains the greatest threat to our democracy. Representative Jake Achencloss, what unifies us as a party is knowing that Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy. Representative Abigail Spanberger, Trump is a threat to our democracy. The threats to our democratic republic are real. Representative Annie Kuster, Trump and his extreme right-wing followers pose an existential threat to our democracy. Representative Becca Ballant, we cannot underestimate the threat Trump poses to American democracy. Representative Jason Crow, Trump is an extreme danger to our democracy. Representative Raul Grijalva, Trump is an existential threat to American democracy. Michael Bennett, who is a senator, Trump is a threat to democracy. Representative Stacey Plaskett, Trump, quote, needs to be shot. Representative Stephen Horsford, Trump Republicans are a dangerous threat to our state. Representative Gabe Vasquez, remove the national threat from office. Mike Levin, Donald Trump is a threat to our nation, our freedom, our democracy. Representative Eric Sorensen, he is the greatest threat to law and order we have in our country. Representative Greg Landsman, the threat is not over. Representative Pat Ryan, Trump is an existential threat to American democracy. Former Harris Biden staffer Kate Bedingfield, Democrats should, quote, turn their fire on Donald Trump. Representative Hakeem Jeffries, election denier and leader of the Democrat Party in the House, we must stop Trump. I mean, the list goes on. You know, you can always find some random person on the internet. This is why we have to be adults and recognize the reality of what's going on. Because sure, somebody could find some random person that claims to be a Trump supporter on the internet that says something inflammatory and go, well, see, it's on both sides. I just listed, for what, 5-6 minutes? These are all elected Democrats. A couple of them are staffers or, you know, the top campaign person for Kamala Harris. But 99% of these elected Democrats, not random people sitting in the basement somewhere. These are individuals that have voters who support them. These are individuals that go on national television. These aren't things that were said in private or in some sort of private text message that got leaked out and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that. I didn't mean it for public consumption. These are quotes that were put out there by elected Democrats deliberately for the American people to hear and believe. And their ludicrous response is, well, Trump said Kamala's stupid, so it's the same thing. And then you get this new position. Don Lemon, Trump should stop threatening democracy if he wants Democrats to stop calling him a threat to democracy. So in other words, well, sure. He is a threat. If he would just quit needing to be assassinated, we would stop expressing that perspective. On yesterday's broadcast of CNN's The Source, Democrat Representative Jen Hines of Connecticut said it's dangerous for people to blame all of that rhetoric on fueling the motivation of a would-be assassin. So it isn't the rhetoric that's dangerous. It isn't even apparently the assassin or attempted assassin that is dangerous. It's any American who points it out. They're becoming more unapologetic and more proactively overt in their totalitarianism, in demanding you comply. Otherwise, you see what's happening to Trump? You want to be next? You keep your mouth shut. You don't question it. Trump had it coming. And if you say otherwise, you are a danger to this country. This is an elected Democrat from Congress on CNN saying this. Have a look at the weather in a moment. Also a traffic update. Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text line 447 KSGF. News update.
And the first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see patchy fog throughout the morning, but it should clear up around 9 a.m. and then mostly sunny skies with a high near 86. Tonight mostly clear with a low around 63. For your Wednesday, sunny with a high near 87, and on Thursday, sunny with a high near 91.
Streaming live, KSGF.com. Any of the show you missed, it will be at KSGF.com after the show. The on-demand podcast section, also Spotify. You can watch us also on YouTube. That's sponsored by Springfield Wraps. Someone asked if we could post the listing of the 50-plus different quotes of elected Democrats talking about how, Trump was an existential threat to this country, how he must be stopped at all cost, and so forth. And we will get that up under the must-read headlines at KSGF.com. Though I know one of you who is maybe listening right now texted that request. I went ahead and texted back a link. The one I had was from the Daily Wire, but I just quickly found a separate one. I think it's the same listing. It comes from the Trump campaign website, so you can have a listing of those there. Now, regarding, let's see, we've got some audio. This is Joe Biden. And he's being asked, of course, he said that he had a phone call with Trump about this. And Biden is now out there. He's like, oh, yeah, Secret Service, they need some help.
Okay. I think you got a full report so far. We're grounded. The one thing I want to make clear, the service needs more help. I think the Congress can respond to their needs if they need more services. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Are you saying they need more money? They need more personnel? They need more money? What kind of help?
I think we need some more personnel. I think they They may be deciding whether they need more personnel in it. Are you using it?
All right, so of course it's hard to hear. You got, I don't know, I guess the helicopters there in the background, Marine One. But he's saying, yeah, we're just kind of waiting to see the Secret Service. We're waiting to see if they need more help. Hey, listen, I don't think that this is overly partisan. And hey, at least Biden is seemingly being somewhat accommodating here. But the Secret Service is under Homeland Security Director Mayorkas, who is under Joe Biden. One of the many themes of this administration is seemingly that Joe Biden has no control over everything. I mean, unless he wants to violate a Supreme Court opinion and, hand out student loan transfer student loans to people who didn't take them out. Seemingly he has all this executive action power. But when it comes to having, where is Mayorkas in this? I mean, he is ultimately over the Secret Service, being Homeland Security Director. And then, like I said, Biden's over him. But you listen to Biden, he's like, I don't really know. I guess we'll just see what it is. If they say they need it, again, Americans are left grappling with who's in charge. The old cliche that the buck stops here. I don't even know where this buck is anymore. No, it's worth a lot less. But this presentation coming from this White House once again, as if no one knows who's in charge, no one knows who's ultimately making these decisions. And listen, I don't expect Joe Biden or the president, whomever the president is, to be micromanaging the day-to-day operations of the Secret Service. But when you've had 2 assassination attempts against your political opponent, you might want to step up and at least look like, as President of the United States, that you are on top of this, as opposed to when being asked, acting like, we'll just see. I don't know. They may say they need some more. I don't really know necessarily what's going on. I haven't heard anything. I don't know. Haven't really talked to them about it. Don't get good cell phone reception out at the beach. Just never feel like these we know who's in charge. His presentation that violence is never an answer in this country. Well, actually, that's been proven not exactly true. All those riots. That proved to be very lucrative. And it's true. I mean, you had billions of dollars worth of damage, people killed, including law enforcement. And, of course, you had everything from Kamala Harris out there working to raise money for these people. Some who were part of the movement got elected to Congress. You had Democrats that were echoing the chants of defund the police, and in many instances doing it in the cities that they ran. Unfortunately, for one political party, violence has paid off. But that aside, I think it's important to go back to what we played the audio of Scott Jennings on CNN. Biden out there saying political violence has no place, and that's meaningless. It shouldn't be, but it is, particularly when you have spent years and years telling the same person, we must stop that guy over there no matter what. Beating him at the ballot box isn't enough. Biden, in one of his more recent interviews, declared that Trump, even whether he wins or loses, is going to be a danger to this country. So he's created this environment in which, as long as Trump is alive, think about that. Biden, in an interview several months ago, was asked about, the election, and this was when Biden was still running. And if he thought Trump would accept the outcome of the election was the premise of the question. And Biden went on to explain that he did not think that he would and that we were going to be in real trouble if he lost. Well, we all know, we've also been told, if Trump wins, that democracy as we know it's going to come to an end. So Joe Biden has put the message out there that as long as Donald Trump is alive, we are in danger in this country. Whether if he wins, we're in trouble. If he loses, we're in trouble. When you have years of that messaging going out after a second assassination attempt, being like, oh, by the way, don't do that. Not real impactful. The amount of damage that has been done is arguably the sort of thing that I don't even know that Biden and or Harris can undo it. But to what Scott Jennings was saying, if you want to potentially make a difference, Democrats need to go out there and start reversing the messaging and saying Trump is not Hitler. Yeah, don't like him. Don't like his tweets. I think he's a buffoon. But that does not make him on equal footing with someone who is trying to take over the world and set up concentration camps and did all sorts of horrific experiments on, it's a little bit different. Democracy as we know it is not going to come to an end. Yes, we believe that Donald Trump's policies will be bad for middle America because we believe in building from the ground up and Donald Trump just wants to reward all his rich friends. But guess what? We've had presidents like that in the past. We survived. People don't like it. They'll have a choice 4 years later. And by the way, for all the concerns of January 6th, people forget when Trump got elected president the first time, there were riots in an attempt to stop him from being sworn in. The peaceful transition of power that, yes, we talk about on January 6th, and it was horrible and awful. But you know what? People who are anti-Trump did the same thing first 4 years earlier. Didn't mean January 6th was right. But there was an attempt to stop him from being sworn in. People were attacked. Police cars were lit on fire. We've been through this before. And we'll make it through again. So if you think that Donald Trump getting elected president somehow is actually an existential threat, it really isn't. So just calm down a bit. Now, of course, we know they won't ever say that because that essentially is their campaign. So if they take away the assassination-inducing rhetoric, they don't really have a campaign theme any longer. But if they cared about the country, and they really, all this crap, I want to bring everyone together. Oh, is that's what you're doing when you constantly drumbeat that language? That Donald Trump supporters are an existential threat. That's how you unify? Oh. Another definition that's rewritten. Coming up, I want to talk about I don't know if you saw the press conference yesterday. There was another press conference in which reporters were updated on the latest information regarding the second would-be assassin of Donald Trump. And one of the individuals that spoke was with the FBI. A little background on this guy, because in fact, there's actually a story from some time ago in the Washington Examiner that mentions this particular FBI agent. That coming up, I'm Nick Reed. If you've got kids or grandkids, you're probably familiar with Bluey. Bluey's Big Play at Juanita K, October 1st. You can get not only details about the performance at KSGF.com, but you can register for your chance to win tickets. Won't you be popular? That's Bluey's Big Play at Juanita K, October 1st.
Springfield's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Color 10, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see patchy fog in the morning. It should clear up around 9 or so, and then we'll see mostly sunny skies with a high near 86. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 63. For your Wednesday, sunny with a high near 87, and on Thursday, sunny with a high near 91.
So this latest revelation about this attempted assassin, according to so this is weird. According to reports, he for a period of time kept a live horse in his living room.
What?
Yeah, failed Trump assassination attempt suspect Ryan Routh has a lengthy arrest record. Okay, let's get down to the story. Okay, so let's see. He moved to Hawaii, left his Greensboro home empty at least a year ago, described his family as weird, this is a neighbor, to reporters outside his home next to his former North Carolina resident. Quote, he had a horse in that house. I mean, a whole live horse in the house. But I could see the guns and stuff and all. They were, kind of weird, but they didn't bother me. I didn't bother him or them. I told all my friends because they didn't believe me. She told reporters that she confirmed a photo of Routh, who owned a business called United Roofing in Greensboro, to law enforcement on Sunday, and said he was sweet, but just kind of crazy. Well, I will be interested to hear more about the horse.
Yeah, I am interested in that.
I like how a whole horse.
Yeah.
Not just part of a horse.
Like a whole horse.
If that turns out to be true, it's a neighbor said this.
Yeah.
We should automatically doubt her. This is what we've learned by the media, from the media, when it comes to all of the reports about Haitian immigrants and animals in Ohio, that you automatically do not believe any citizen or any citizen claim or any video that backs up the citizen claim. You go to the city manager and ask that individual. Your text messages, I feel like all of this has created a culture of fear for some Trump supporters. The media constantly blames us for these attempts, and what I see is 8 Harris Waltz signs on my short drive to work and 0 Trump signs. I don't want these crazies targeting me or my family, so I'm afraid to show Trump support, the real thing that Democrats want and are getting. And there is truth to that. It's not paranoia at this point. You cannot write off people's concerns about displaying Trump for support as paranoia. There have been numerous people across this country murdered because they were Trump supporters. Whether it's somebody putting a sign in their front yard or someone that has some Trump displayed on their vehicle, there have been numerous instances of this occurring. And whenever the rhetoric makes it that dangerous to support a political party, that is, to a degree, it is what they want. This was another really good point, and let's see. Innocent people just hanging out on the Capitol lawn, doing nothing on January 6th, are charged with numerous crimes, and that is true. People in Congress are saying things that an unstable person will take seriously and try to make good on. How can people in Congress not be charged with some crime after 2 attempts on President Trump's life? Seems like the rhetoric is the cause of it. Well, particularly given that they are still trying to imprison Donald Trump based off of the fact that he told people if they were going to protest to do it peacefully and patriotically. And the argument in Jack Smith's case is that by questioning the outcome of the election, that caused people to trespass into the Capitol. And for that reason, he should go to prison. And the person who texted in is absolutely right. How can we, in an honest society, say that a former president, should go to prison because he questioned the outcome of elections, which, by the way, is exactly what the dictator in Venezuela is attempting to do to his political opposition right now? The recent election, the opposition is questioning the outcome, and so Maduro took a page out of the Biden-Harris playbook and had charges pressed against him for questioning the outcome of the election. And he's attempting to put him in, he's fled. So we're now doing in this country exactly what dictators are doing in banana republics. But that aside, I listed off 50-plus quotes from Biden, from Harris, from Democrat members of Congress that were repeating this line about a danger to democracy and saving democracy, get rid of Trump to save the country. And that is some of the rhetoric that apparently was used in some of the postings by the would-be assassin. So how can, I mean, we get it. We know. You understand. If Trump is supposed to go to prison because he told people to march peacefully and question the outcome of the election, and they claim that's what caused people to trespass into the Capitol, then every one of those Democrats should be rounded up, arrested, and be put on trial. If we had a justice system that wasn't weaponized against political opposition. Speaking of, yesterday there was another press conference. You had a number of different people speaking regarding the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. One of the individuals was, I guess, the head of the FBI office down in Florida, Jeffrey Veltri. Here's a past story from the Washington Times. Top FBI officials ordered an agent to scrub his Facebook page to delete anti-Trump vitriol before they would promote him to head the Bureau's Miami field office, which covers former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate, a whistleblower told Congress. In a disclosure to the House Judiciary Committee, the whistleblower said Jeffrey Veltri, yes, this is the face of the FBI down there covering this assassination attempt. Jeffrey Veltri was promoted earlier this year to become the special agent in charge of the Miami offices. The whistleblower called Mr. Veltri adamantly and vocally anti-Trump and said FBI Director Christopher Wray, Deputy Director Paul Abate, and Executive Assistant Director Jennifer Moore were involved in directing Veltri to cleanse his social media. Quote, the home of President Donald Trump is located in the area of responsibility of the Miami field office. It's well known that Veltri was adamantly and vocally anti-Trump, said the disclosure, which the Washington Times obtained. Ray, Abate, and more wanted to ensure that Veltri appeared non-political. Veltri was ordered to remove all of his Facebook and social media posts that were anti-Trump. The whistleblower said that the Bureau leaders weren't concerned about Veltri's bias against Trump, but whether information related to Veltri's political bias can be removed from the public domain. So, in other words, according to the whistleblower, they didn't care that he was anti-Trump. They were fine with that. They just didn't want it made public. The whistleblower's allegations are serious and deserve further investigation, said Chris Swecker, a lawyer and law enforcement professional who served as assistant director of the FBI's Criminal Investigative Division during the George W. Bush administration. Quote, let's say half of that's true. If they wiped his social media clean, that's something that needs to be looked at by the Department of Justice and the Office of Inspector General. It's highly improper to wipe things clean that show some kind of bias. I know they want it off, but then there could have been an inquiry about it, and it could have held up the promotion. The FBI rejected the allegations. Oh, well, that's a shocking turn of events. And said that Veltri was promoted through a process by the book. Everything was above board, which the FBI has demonstrated. If anything, you can certainly trust their word, particularly when it comes to Donald Trump. So this is an article that came out sometime since Biden has been president. November 20th, 2023. So almost a year ago. And the person that was the central character in this whistleblower's notification here of somebody that was so anti-Trump that the FBI had him scrub the internet of all of his anti-Trump vitriol. This is the guy that's the head of the FBI field office down there giving press conferences about the assassination attempt on Trump. Now, this is my perspective on it. I don't believe it's realistic to expect that every person who is in the FBI, even those that are heading up field offices, are going to have no political bias one way or another. That's just not realistic. But if you are, and these postings were apparently made while he was in the FBI, because it was on his, when it came time to promote him to run that office, which the jurisdiction covers Mar-a-Lago. Number one, this is your choice. Someone whose jurisdiction covers the home of the former president, a home which, by the way, they would later raid, and you pick a guy that is so anti-Trump, you have to scrub his social media? That seems like very wise decision-making. But like I said, I don't expect these people within the FBI or any division of the government to not have any sort of political bias. But here's my concern. If you have so little control over yourself that as an agent, I don't care what level you are, within the FBI, you cannot help yourself from getting on the internet and trashing Trump, I don't think that you can help yourself in a manner that allows you to objectively cover anything involving the guy. But if you have so little discipline over your own actions, it is not reasonable to expect people to believe, oh, well, when it comes down to it, don't worry, he can control himself. Really? Because apparently he couldn't online. And if he doesn't have enough discipline to not post things that are so anti-Trump, you scrub them before the promotion, I don't think he should be in any sort of jurisdictional area over Donald Trump. But I guess that's just nitpicking. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. this story, let's see what I do in here. FBI official ordered to scrub anti-Trump social media posts before big promotion. This is the individual that is overseen, I suppose, in some capacity, the Trump investigation from the FBI's perspective. This was an article from about a year ago regarding Jeffrey Veltri, who was the person that, if you watched the press conference yesterday, that was there speaking on behalf of the FBI because he got a promotion to head up the field office, which has jurisdiction over Trump, of course. And this is somebody that had such, according to a whistleblower, anti-Trump rhetoric on his social media, they scrubbed it all. Not, they weren't concerned about him being anti-Trump. In fact, I'm sure that's probably why it was that he was given jurisdiction over Trump. But they didn't want people to see it. And when I came across this information, it reminded me of I think it was a Dateline a couple of weeks ago. And it was about this woman named Karen Reed. I think it was in the Boston area, and she was on trial for killing her boyfriend, Michael Proctor, who was a Massachusetts State Police trooper. Oh, sorry, no, John O'Keefe, Boston police officer, was her boyfriend. And I saw the latter half of it. I didn't see the lead into it, but it was a real division in the community. There were people, she kind of almost had fans, and then she was accused of being set up. And then on the other side is, his family and law enforcement and so forth. And she ended up, I think it was a hung jury. The reason that this story popped up in my mind was because there was, towards the end of the Dateline, or again, whatever the documentary was, the show, about the person who led the investigation. And it was a state police trooper, Michael Proctor, and how he was under investigation because he sent texts to family, friends, and fellow troopers that were insulting to Reed, the individual who would eventually be charged with killing her boyfriend. He thought she was a whack job. He would send, these were private text messages, nothing that he was posting online. Private text messages saying that, he thought she was a whack job. He said all sorts of unsavory things. And this actually came up in the trial. He's like, yeah, I shouldn't have done it. I'm really embarrassed. Hey, it didn't have any impact on the investigation, but I shouldn't have said that stuff. And the case would end in a mistrial, and he has been suspended without pay. And I think about, you look at the difference in approach here. And this isn't like, it's not Republican versus Democrat, but here you have this case, somebody being tried for murder. There is a mistrial, and the trooper who was investigating was suspended without pay because he sent private text messages that were insulting of her. You've got this guy, Jeffrey Veltri, who, there weren't private messages, sending similar vitriolic texts about Donald Trump, posting them all over social media. He gets a promotion. Now, how do you explain that? Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. the assassination attempts against Donald Trump by at least one left-wing activist, probably two, is clearly very significant and deserves attention. However, we don't want attention. We don't want it to overshadow what it is that we still see Jewish students in particular facing with left-wing activists. And there is a story at a University of Michigan, at the Jewish University of Michigan student under investigation as a hate crime and assault on a Jewish university student. A group attacked a University of Michigan student early Sunday morning after confirming he was Jewish, according to the Ann Arbor Police Department, which is investigating the incident as a hate crime. I don't know how I can stress this enough. This administration, if it continues on for another 4 years, this is not going to get better. The unnamed student, 19, told police a group of unknown males behind him asked if he was Jewish, according to the Ann Arbor Police Department statement. When the victim replied yes, the group of males proceeded to assault him. The assailants threw him to the ground, kicked him, spat on him, attack on both his body and his heritage. The University of Michigan's Jewish Resource Center wrote to its members in an email obtained by the Washington Free Beacon. It's noted that the attack occurred a block away from the center, and this is not isolated. And it is going ignored by the media at large. You know, it's almost as if these people aren't human. News in 60 seconds. the media, for about the past week or so, has been pairing together the recognition of the plight that many citizens in Springfield, Ohio are experiencing with, and the recognition of that by the Trump campaign with bomb threats that were occurring. So the media, they paired them together. I mean, every time they would report these bomb threats, this after the Trump administration or the Trump campaign or J.D. Vance once again gives unsubstantiated claims about immigrants eating animals. And then there was a bomb threat. Now, they never explain what connected the two. They just threw it out there as if one was connected. And if you think about it, like what connection would there be? Like who would be doing that and for what reason? Well, apparently, it's been discovered who was behind it. This is Governor DeWine addressing the issue of the bomb threats.
33 separate bomb threats, each one of which has been responded to, and each one of whom has been found as a hoax. So 33 threats, 33 hoax. I will make that very, very clear. None of these had any validity at all. We know that people are very, very concerned. And we have taken some actions, and in a moment I'll let Andy Wilson go into more detail. But we've moved resources into Springfield. So I want to say to the parents in Springfield, these hoaxes, these threats have all been hoaxes. None of them have panned out. We have people, unfortunately, overseas who are taking these actions. Some of them are coming from one particular country. We think that this is, one more opportunity to mess with the United States, and they're continuing to do that. So we cannot let the bad guys win.
Well, to some degree, they already have, because the media did exactly what apparently these nefarious actors in some foreign country wanted, and that was to interfere in the election. And the media was more than happy to lap it up and serve it up. So it turns out that it wasn't. I suppose it was supposed to be Trump supporters. I mean, this was part of the issue with the media without any evidence connecting the Haitian immigrant claims to the bomb threats. They never explained how that would work, why were they supposed to be Trump supporters that were, like, because they believed it, they thought, oh, I'll call a bomb threat into a school? Is that what we were supposed to believe? But they didn't bother to acknowledge or to try and explain that connection. But it turns out it was nothing of the like. By the way, this isn't anything wholly unusual. We've seen it occur locally, whether it was the threat of some sort of shooter or a bomb threat, people from other countries that are responsible for it. The major news networks that were spreading the disinformation connecting this to Trump and Vance, they know that when these things happen, odds are it's coming from somebody overseas. But they saw it as an opportunity to mislead the American people as to whose fault it was. You just think about this in the context of the fact that Trump has had 2 assassination attempts against him. Is it any wonder when you have the media out there falsely trying to tie bomb threats to Donald Trump? We talked earlier in the program, and I know many of you are familiar with it, the constant barrage of Trump is Hitler, you're Hitler, Biden saying that he and his followers are semi-fascist, that we must stop Trump. He is an existential threat. And then you have media outlets claiming that these bomb threats are the result of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance listening to and highlighting the problem that citizens are having in Ohio when it had nothing whatsoever to do with them. In fact, it was, according to Governor DeWine, most of them coming from one country trying to mess with us. Now, how often have we heard from this administration and from the media that we need to be very, very careful as to not spread disinformation that is based off of actions or information from people in other countries trying to interfere in our elections? According to the information provided by the governor of Ohio during that press conference, that's exactly what was going on here. You had foreign actors trying to disrupt things, and who amplified it? Who turned it into something that involved the election but the media? So whomever these nefarious players are, you had the mainstream media in this country doing the heavy lifting for them. Springfield's Talk 1041. A look at the weather coming up here in just a moment. Right now, the latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see mostly sunny skies with a high near 86. Tonight mostly clear with a low around 63. For your Wednesday, sunny with a high near 87. And on Thursday, sunny with a high near 91. The Pyramid Roofing Company, now believe it or not, but that cooler fall weather is going to be moving in soon. So if you have been putting off roof repairs, now is the time to get it done. And I would love to recommend Josh and his team over at the Pyramid Roofing Company. Now, during the fall months, you can actually get better deals and a quicker turnaround as well. Whenever you call the Pyramid team, they're going to come out, they'll do a free roof inspection for you, and then they will figure out the best solution for you and your home. Whether you need a whole new roof or just a simple roof repair, the Pyramid Roofing Company is going to shoot you straight, and they're going to get your home prepared for those fall months. So if it is time to have the Pyramid Roofing Company team out at your home, go ahead and give Josh a call today. Now you can find all of that contact information for the Pyramid Roofing Company, plus photos and videos of the work that they did out at my home. All of that is housed under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
There's a common disinformation theme that we hear from the media that people who come into the country illegally not only do not increase crime, but they actually are less likely to commit crime. Now, common sense tells you that while this is not impossible, it certainly is not likely. If by nature you choose to come in to break the law to come into this country, you've already demonstrated that the law does not matter to you. And what they try to do is they will utilize statistics, but if we've learned anything over the past several years, it is that these statistics are without any merit because they have holes through them. You have, when it comes to reporting of crime, you have a third of these crimes not even being reported, and that is in cities that are run by Democrats, and generally they're higher crime cities. But in addition to that, because of sanctuary city status, when somebody who is in the country illegally commits a crime, because it's a sanctuary city, they do not report it as a crime committed by an illegal alien. So this picking of these nowhere even close to reliable numbers is once again just an attempt to spread disinformation, to make people believe things that there is no proof of. I wanted to preface, because of this following story, shoplifting and vehicle theft soared after Haitian migrants poured into Ohio town, police data shows. So this is data that is consistently kept, and there has been a massive spike in certain crimes since these individuals have been shipped into the area. Now, I guess that could mean that normal citizens just thought, let's start committing crimes for no reason whatsoever. But that is highly unlikely. Megan Brock and Robert Schmad of the Daily Caller note that reports of shoplifting and vehicle theft increased considerably in Springfield, Ohio, following the arrival of thousands of Haitian refugees, according to data obtained by the Daily Caller News Foundation through a records request. The town, which had a population of 58,622 in 2020, has taken in between 12 and 20,000 Haitian refugees over the past 3 years, marking a population increase of between 20.4% and 34.1%. From 2021 to 2023, Springfield also saw a 51.5% jump in motor vehicle theft reports and a 112.8% spike in reports of shoplifting. Now, these numbers are important because when you increase the population, you are going to see, naturally, an increase in crime because you have more people. But what's notable here is that the increase in crime far outpaces the increase in population. Springfield residents previously told the Daily Caller News Foundation that the influx of Haitians has resulted in an uptick in car accidents, increased housing prices, and strained public services. Brian Heck, Springfield city manager, sent a letter to Democratic Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown, Republican Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, and Republican South Carolina Senator Tim Scott in July requesting federal assistance to deal with the pressure that migrants had placed on the housing supply. Inhabitants of the town also told, and by the way, this is what the mainstream media used to do, and this is why people need to start getting their news from outlets like the Daily Caller News Foundation, because they do reporting. They get the facts. While the mainstream media goes to some political operative and asks, is what the residents saying true? And then when they say no, report that as fact-checked, residents are lying. The Daily News Caller Foundation goes, they get numbers, they talk to residents, they find out what's going on. Inhabitants of the town also told the DCNF, that's the Daily Caller News Foundation, that they had observed Haitians engaging in sex acts and other vices in public. The DCNF was unable to verify claims made by the town's residents about Haitians engaging in public debauchery. Springfield's police department declined to comment on the crime data. Springfield has a higher crime rate than the nation at large, even before the Haitians began moving there in large numbers. But as I noted, and this is what is significant about this, the increase in crime considerably outpaced the increase in population, which means a reasonable conclusion is that, on average, these individuals are more likely to commit crimes than the residents that were already there. And by the way, that makes perfect sense when it comes to human behavior. Because people who live in a particular area, you're always going to have crime. You're going to have, people that are criminals, people that are immoral. When people own homes and property in a particular area and they're grounded in that area, they have family in that area, they recognize that there are consequences to their action, to their lifestyles, to their behavior. Particularly if you own your own home, you just have more vested in the community. If you are somebody that got shipped in from a foreign country and just plopped down, you don't have any sense of community there. You don't have any sense of, hey, this is my hometown. I grew up here. I don't want to see crime. And it certainly doesn't mean that every person who is shipped in and plopped down has that same mentality and attitude, but it does mean that it increases the likelihood that that attitude is going to be there, because you're taking up to 20,000 people who have no connection whatsoever to that community. And so common sense, wherever they're from, Canada, Haiti, France, that you're going to have an increased likelihood of criminal behavior. But of course, we're told that none of this actually is real, none of this actually exists, that the people who are, for weeks now, crying out to their local government to do something about this, they're part of some vast right-wing Trump conspiracy in order to trick people into thinking that we have an immigration problem, specifically an illegal immigration problem in this country. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed. just as soon as she could get in front of a camera after the second assassination attempt, Hillary Clinton gets on there and starts, hey, danger to our country. Trump is a danger to our country. Got to do something about this guy. Do you know how frustrated she must be that Trump has not been killed yet? I mean, you can feel her frustration. You can feel these people that are actively attempting to essentially recruit a third person to try and finish the job that the first two failed to finish. For those who continue, including the media, to claim that none of this end-of-world doomsday rhetoric about Donald Trump has any sort of connection or any incitement value of an assassination attempt, answer this. If the rhetoric that is being used should not be by a reasonable person seen as insightful to take out Trump and save the world, what would be? What sort of rhetoric? If being told that Trump is an existential threat to this country, that he's going to throw journalists in jail, that he's going to jail LGBT community people, all of these things have been said. He's Hitler. He's a semi-fascist. He will destroy democracy. If none of that is language that has any sort of insightful nature of somebody who would try and assassinate Donald Trump, give me an example of a statement that you believe would be. Because I'm having a hard time figuring out if that rhetoric that we have been subjected to for years doesn't have any sort of connection whatsoever to the actions of somebody who believes it, then tell me what would. Give me an example. I'd like to hear it. Because I don't know what else you could say. I mean, really. What more could be said that is more encouraging than what they're already saying? If you decided, my goal is to incite someone to assassinate Donald Trump, and you believe everything that has been set up until this point doesn't fit the bill, what more can you say? You've claimed he's going to imprison people. You claimed he's going to destroy the country. You claim he's going to destroy the planet. You claim that he's Hitler. You claim he's a not. What else is there? What else is there to say? Because I would argue that there really isn't much more you can do. And that might be the reason that two people so far have attempted to take away all of our right to choose the president by assassinating one of the two candidates. I mean, is not trying to kick him off the ballot enough? Is not trying to imprison him enough? Is not trying to bankrupt him enough? I mean, you have the entire media on your side. At some point, do you say, okay, maybe we should just put the brakes on this and, I don't know, just let people decide at the ballot box? Pyramid Roofing Company talk at text line 447 KSGF. I'm Nick Reed.
Springfield's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see mostly sunny skies with a high near 86. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 63. For your Wednesday, sunny with a high near 87. And on Thursday, sunny with a high near 91.
Someone asked on the Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text line, why isn't anyone asking how these Haitians got there? They were shipped there. And there are some, and I'm sure this is accurate, that some of the businesses there saw this as cheap labor. And I find it interesting that the left uses that as justification while at the same time constantly pushing for living wages. These are contradictions. When you ship people in that will work for a lot less, that brings down wages. So when you run around claiming that you're for a living wage and increased wages, but then you justify shipping in cheap labor, saying, oh, well, the businesses love it because they work for cheaper. So what do you want? Do you want higher wages for employees, for American citizens, or do you want artificially lower wages by shipping in workers? It's reverse outsourcing. It's insourcing cheap labor. This is one of the reasons that a number of businesses, they ship their companies outside of the United States because the labor is cheaper. Well, it's gotten to where now many of these businesses will seek to have these individuals shipped into the country for the same reason. They just figured out, well, we don't have to move our company in order to get the cheap labor. And then the people in particular, and Republicans are a mixed bag on this issue as well. But for Democrats who run around portraying themselves as the party of labor and, well, there's never been a president that's more pro-labor and really, working hard to get your wages up, and then they support importing cheap labor. You cannot have it both ways on that. There was a call that came in, and it was referencing the fact that, and this is normal with the left, the inconsistency of concerns about animals and the dismissive nature that the left has acted about when it comes to the claims that animals that are domestic animals are being killed and eaten by individuals who have been shipped into this country. And all of a sudden, they have no concern whatsoever about animals. None. And I think it was last week or the week before when this came up, I noted that there was a freaking manhunt out for a guy a few years ago that hit a goose in the parking lot at Grizzly down there on South Kansas and Battlefield, if I remember correct. I think that's where it was. I mean, it was a manhunt. It was national news. Because I think there was security footage that showed it occurring. And I want to say they tracked it was the guy's girlfriend's car or something. They tracked her down. I mean, it was the crime of the century because that innocent animal. But I mean, where are organizations like PETA? PETA has no trouble throwing around accusations of animal abuse without any evidence whatsoever, but they're amazingly silent when it comes to this, including body cam footage that shows what appears to be some of these allegations that are being made about eating animals that are, pets. It's amazing how that care and that compassion gets shut off so quickly if it conflicts with political ideology. I want to play some audio for you that is making the rounds. And it is, it's a guy got a visit. Some of you may have seen this. From some FBI agents wanting to talk to him. They came to his home about something that he posted on the internet that they fully acknowledged was not illegal. Now, this guy's name is Jeremy Kaufman. I don't know anything about him. He's listed as, according to Red State, an American entrepreneur and political activist known for founding and leading the blockchain-based file share project LBRY. He's also known as a vocal supporter and activist within the Free State Project and a former board member. And he has made, this is according to Red State, some statements on Twitter that have upset and always triggered people. Some, they've called him a pedophile. Don't know why, but that shouldn't be relevant here. And I want to, so this guy, he's got some guts because these two, and I'm playing the audio so you can hear how he deals with these two FBI agents who have come to his home. Now, hearing them is not so easy. He's filming on his phone, and he's not hiding the fact that he's filming. In fact, they ask him to stop, and you'll hear him. He goes, no, and I am going to post this as soon as you leave.
Here we are. Can you give your full name, please? Is that sufficient to identify as only one O'Donnell affiliated with the FBI? Could you please state your full name, sir? Stop. No, it's First Amendment right. What's your name, sir?
Could you stop?
Absolutely not. You can show me your name and identification, or I'm going to go back inside my house. Oh, this is going out right after you guys walk away. So you can show me your name or ID, you can walk away. I'm not going to talk to people who claim to be federal agents unless they can show me identification. I need to see, is your full name on that badge? I'd like to see something with your full name or I'm not going to talk to you. This will be going online as soon as you walk away. Well, I want to talk to you about you guys coming here. Say you make a salary of, I don't know what, low 100K? You guys making six figures? Factor in 50% expenses, overhead, maybe 100% expenses. Talking about burning a couple $100 an hour just here, let alone all the time you guys are spending to investigate something that you know is not against the law, right? Like you're familiar with. So then why would you come?
Because we wanted to make sure that there weren't any.
No, you're coming because you're part of a regime that does this kind of thing when you know laws aren't being broken, and that's an embarrassment, man. Didn't you guys read the Constitution? Do you not believe in America? Like, how do you do your jobs and go home? You're walking away because nothing we did is against the law, and you guys are cats that try to act like bullies. And I hope you go home and are embarrassed. You can't even say your name on camera because you know that what you're doing is embarrassing. You know Americans that believe in the Constitution think you're laughable. And you go home and you think about what you did today. Go home and think about it, you cowards. Drive away.
Now, I got it. That guy has got a pair. We were having a conversation in the office, I don't know, like a week or two ago, and just talking about, it was regarding that, the whoever the football player was down in Miami and that whole thing that took place. And I talked about how my number one goal when I get pulled over is to not get arrested. And I recognize that person has the ability to do that. They have ability. And so if I have a problem, I'm going to keep my mouth shut, be as compliant as possible. And then when I go to court. And so, but, this guy, he was just at his home and he didn't do anything. He wasn't even accused of doing anything illegal, which is totally different. But man, that's still pretty gutsy. I mean, he in that exchange became the upper hand, the alpha, if you will. I mean, he had them on the run. No. I want to talk about why you're here. Now, I wonder if this is going to get much traction, because here you have agents from the Biden administration visiting, and I don't even know what the posting was about. Clearly, it wasn't anything illegal, and they said it wasn't illegal. This is Soviet-style Stasi I mean, where you just have federal agents going to people's houses because of something that wasn't even illegal, because of something that they posted. I mean, I always default back to, and Trump is supposed to be the one we're afraid of? Trump is supposed to be the totalitarian, not the regime that utilizes its power in order to censor people on social media and sends taxpayer-funded federal agents to their homes to talk to them about something that isn't, oh, no, don't worry, it's not illegal. We just wanted to talk to you about it. Then you shouldn't be there. It is unreal what the left has turned this country into. All of the things that so many of us in history class or social sciences learned about the evils of tyrannical governments, and what was described as what is happening in this country today. Whether it's the Gestapo or the Stasi or the KGB just coming to pay a little visit. Oh, no, yeah, no, we know you didn't do anything wrong, but we just thought we'd stop by your home and ask you a few questions. This is what used to make us the country that separated us and made us exceptional from the others, is that this was something, just the concept of it, so unacceptable in this country that we never believed it would happen. And it's normal. You know how many Americans would see that? And they're going to be left-wingers. Well, as long as you're not doing anything wrong. Oh, well, that's what they say. That's what always accompanies the knock on the door from authorities that have the ability to make you disappear if they want. You know, you think about that small-town Arkansas airport manager we talked about last year, maybe it was earlier this year, in which he was accused of not having just a license. He sold firearms as a hobby at, I don't even think, they were antique shows. It's a very strange story. The fine of which I think is a $50 fine, but instead they decide, for reasons that were never explained, to do an early morning raid on his home. And when he assumed somebody was breaking into their home, he went to protect himself and they shot him in the head. And guess what? Not a single one of them had their body cameras on, in violation of standard procedure. Oh, they just all accidentally didn't have one on. When federal agents can do that to an American citizen and nobody's outraged, no investigation, when federal agents can just come knocking on your door like we're living in the Soviet Union or East Germany, you know, just to check up on you, just to, you know, we heard that you were talking about certain things. We heard that you were meeting with certain people. We found these flyers that people were passing around. We just wanted to talk with you about that for a bit. But don't worry, if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. These are the horror stories that we would hear from people who would flee their countries, risking their lives in order to make it here to the United States, where these things would never happen. And not only do they happen here, but they happen with, if even, a shrug. Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. Springfield's Talk 104.1. There's been another leak involving the Supreme Court, one that is being described as far worse than the leak that took place in violation of law regarding the Roe v. Wade decision. And as you recall, an unprecedented leak took place, and the recognition by most reasonable people is that, it was done in the hopes that there would be enough backlash of the opinion that was going to be released that overturned Roe v. Wade, that some of the justices would be scared into changing their opinion. And while some people on the left tried to twist, they're like, well, no, maybe that it's actually somebody sympathetic to Trump and they're trying to do that so it'll look like. I go, okay, all right. And they were almost successful in getting Supreme Court justices assassinated. You may recall Chuck Schumer standing on the steps of the Supreme Court, calling out specifically, Kavanaugh and Gorsuch and saying, you will not know what hits you if you dare touch Roe v. Wade. Then that illegal leak took place, and then a would-be assassin made it to Kavanaugh's house. And if it weren't for his sister calling 911, because he had called his sister prepared to die, he was going to take out Kavanaugh, and if he didn't get taken out while taking out Kavanaugh, he was going to find as many conservative justices as he could. This is what he had posted on Reddit. So whomever leaked this almost succeeded in getting numerous Supreme Court justices assassinated. And they did an investigation, and they just couldn't figure out who did it. Just don't know. Now, there were many who suspected that if they really wanted to find out, they could have. But, why would they not reveal? There are a number of different reasons. One, this desire to protect the reputation of the institution of the Supreme Court, and if it was revealed to be somebody directly connected with one of the justices, then you got a problem there. Will there be an impeachment hearing? And so that while the damage to a degree had already been done to the reputation of the Supreme Court because of this leak, the potential damage, depending on who it was. Because, if it's a low-level person, well, that doesn't look good for them because low-level people have access to this information that is not supposed to be accessible until it is to be accessible. And if it was a high-level person, well, then that looks really bad because that's somebody that really should have known better. The latest leaks about the Supreme Court's internal deliberations on 3 major cases involving former President Donald Trump could be coming from a high-level member of the minority, former clerks, and longtime court observers told the Daily Caller News Foundation. Drawing on details from the justices' private memos, documentation of the proceedings, and interviews with court insiders, both conservative and liberal, a Sunday report published by the New York Times offered a window into the justices' decision-making process on 3 major cases, including Trump v. United States. Now, from a political perspective, what the left is trying to do with this is a further effort to give justification to the Democrats to create a Supreme Court that rubber stamps whatever they want, because they're using this in order to say, well, look at Roberts here. He was, essentially saying that these cases that they need to deal with these because they were poor decisions made and it benefited Trump. Well, this is what they do. The Supreme Court, when it comes to that decision-making process, they get together and they have those discussions. That is the whole point of it. It is to debate back and forth. It is to point and counterpoint. But what they're trying to do is make it seem as if because there is a counterpoint to the point or a point to the counterpoint, that means that they're trying to rig things for Donald Trump. These discussions are supposed to be so, tightly kept confidential so that no one worries about this sort of thing, that only the justices themselves are allowed to be in there. And the speculation right now is that it is Kagan, that this is coming directly from her, or that she is passing it off to someone in order to illegally leak it. And the reason they believe it's Kagan is, one, because she's on the left, but she's the only one that really doesn't get much coverage in this. Like, of all the justices in which the conversations are revealed, she's the one who isn't. And they say that's just a little suspicious. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. I would argue that the either inability or unwillingness for the Supreme Court to find out who was the originator of that leak that took place regarding Roe v. Wade has led to the willingness of more leaks to occur that are even more damaging. And hopefully there will be a great deal of focus on this in the days to come. And they need to drill down. And if it is Kagan or some other Supreme Court justice, that person needs to be removed off the bench. Glenn Beck's coming up next. I'm Nick Reed. Talk with you tomorrow.